Alright, guys, welcome back to the podcast. Back to Tomboy Official. Next 3 pages for day 6 of BA Triangle by Lily Singh. I mean, this book is short, guys. It's 95 pages, so I could have finished it real quick. It's a quick read. A lot of, like, the margins are pretty thick. The spacing is pretty large. The font is pretty large. There's a little bit of pictures here and there. Pages 19, 20, 21. Let's see. So she starts getting into the topic of the topic of triangles and how they have a base that's a foundation. Let's see. Sorry, I'm looking for my notes. So she mentioned something interesting, just points that I'm taking out, not necessarily like this is the only point, not the only point, but she mentions, sometimes pain can be louder internally than potential. That's definitely something I've noticed. It's possible to have like pain that definitely, even if it's not like physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain, just like pain of memories, pain of, just how things might not be going the way a person wants them to go, or whatever, anxiety, depression, whatever that pain looks like. A lot of times that can be louder than, the abilities that we already have. It can be easy to focus on what's not going right, what's not going well, what's not easy, what kind of type of symptom things I have that are coming up and getting into my way. Like, even for myself, I know I have a lot of potential, but, I was even talking about it yesterday, how, like, I get this, like, hesitation, because I'm not really ready for certain things. And so she talks about having a foundation. I'm not pushing religion. I don't want people to think that, but, that's kind of the easiest way for me to, like, think of things, is kind of like, what do you go back to that's kind of like a solid foundation for you that helps things get on track. Like, ideally, if some religions didn't have a lot of those, like, toxic qualities to them for some people, religion would be ideal, because technically it should help a person balance things about their life, by participating in these different types of rituals and things. But because religion covers things like social interactions, definitely loving. A lot of religions teach about, like, loving connections with people and with yourself, with a deity. A lot of them have ways to think about eating and your body as a temple, and ways to think about how we treat one another. Like, there's one end that's kind of like, you could see how it could potentially go well if somebody was doing all these things. And then there's another end where there can be like all these traditions that are like people using these traditions to like fight against other people and judge other people about you're not doing this. I think you should do this thing this way. And then other people are like, no, we disagree. Like it becomes this whole like political thing with religion sometimes too, which can become really toxic. People take their own kind of convictions and they're like, well, I feel strongly about this, so you need to do it too. Um, and you know, if you're a queer person, if you have any kind of like gender types of differences, if you're like a minority on the gender spectrum, you know, a lot of times certain people just can't really vibe with religious environments because they're too hung up on, you know, focusing on making someone feel bad about that kind of stuff versus actually like helping people focus on, you know, creating a lifestyle for themselves that's best for themselves, their families, their loved ones, people that they interact with. They don't focus on that. They focus on, oh, what pork did you eat pork? You know, it's like, is there bacon on that? You're eating bacon, you know. It's like, so I feel like, you know, that's just my opinion. Things could be smoother, but everyone, you know, it's controversial. Like, I know that kind of conversation gets nowhere. Like, I can talk until I'm blue in the face about what I think about religions and things, and I can see the benefit of them. I can see the, you know, how it can be detrimental to people's health, especially like their mental health. Like, religion can screw people up too. So, I'm not gonna say like, oh yeah, that's the solution for everybody, but um, even if it's not a religious practice, you know, having rituals that aren't even like necessarily spiritual rituals, but maybe like spiritual rituals or something that has some kind of healing property to it, um, can usually be helpful to return to. A lot of us didn't grow up with things like that. You know, we weren't taught about it. So having to develop one, I think, is kind of where she's going with this. Is, you know, having something at your disposal that you've developed that you can return to. Not necessarily like, oh, I need to go back to this church that I went to when I was a kid, even though I left because I hated it. And like now I need to go back just to get my life in order. Like it doesn't have to be like that necessarily. Um, but there's some quotes I want to take from page 20. She has some questions that she asked. Um, Kind of like funny questions in a way, but like just to think about this topic of like foundations and things like that. Um, so I'm going to read a little bit before that. It says, we need to dig a foundation so deep that it will exist and thrive even if our surface level efforts fail. What is left when let me start. What is left when a harsh wind blows away my daily affirmation post-its? What can I hold on to if a toxic person re-enters my life? And what can I lean on if my journal is ripped from my hands? I need to do more than just problem solve to overcome daily aggravations and hiccups. Like what type of a skill or what type of a system or um, a task or a ritual or what type of thing is helpful to return back to, um, that helps with, you know, when something arises or when potential things will come up. Um, I think that was kind of like a powerful way of kind of explaining, you know, what do we do? What are we gonna do? You know, how are we gonna fix this? Um, but yeah, um, I don't know how to explain what I return to. Like, there's, because I don't really want to explain it, to be honest. There's some stuff that I would say, like, for me, the easiest things are focusing on sleep, exercise, and what I eat. It sounds stupid, and I talk about it lately because that's kind of the only thing I'm trying to focus on. But using that to kind of center the rest of my day, balance out the rest of the things I need to do. A lot of stuff I'm dealing with is on the social and emotional level of things. That for me right now is becoming, it's not the biggest stressor in my life, but it's definitely a big stressor. Like, you know, like I've definitely had people in my life that I have lived with that were just unpleasant people to even like share like a physical space with, a room. Like you could feel the energy of the negativity. And I think I'm starting to understand it a little bit more too, because it's like I do tend to need like quite a deep sense of privacy for my life. That's kind of what I prefer. And anytime I feel like somebody's kind of like intruding on that space, I get a little bit like I was explaining earlier about how I, you know, can get irritated just, you know, like I'm not going to go too into this example because I explained it in another episode that I'm posting today, the brain dump episode um, that I'm posting for today, but just kind of how, you know, just like the sequence of things, like, you know, the C4 was kind of wearing off after the gym. I was starting to feel more irritable, wanting to be by myself. So as I'm pulling into the driveway, I'm like priming this vape pen, and my plan was just to sit there a few minutes and vape. But instead of being able to do that, my family member comes because they see me, you know, they see the lights of the car, it like shines against the door, the front door of the house, and so they're being kind. In their mind, they're being kind and opening the door for me so I don't have to deal with, you know, fumbling with the keys and opening the door and stuff. So they open the door for me, um, and you know, and I see the like shadow, their shadow like against the door as I'm like pulling into the driveway, and I go from feeling like slightly like this tense energy that I'm feeling because of this caffeine and all these like stimulants like wearing off, and I go from feeling that intense energy to feeling just like irritable and just like I just want to be left alone. I don't want to be near this person or anybody. But I know that they know that I'm home. I know that they, you know, they opened the door, so I can't just be vaping right by the door. That's something I kind of do in my own time, in my own space, because they don't like, they're against that kind of stuff anyways. So it's like, I can't even have like a little bit of space when I come home. Sometimes it's like somebody's like right there, like right away, you know, trying to be nice and go out of their way to make an effort to be nice and kind. But at the same time, I'm just like, I just want to be left alone. Like, I don't want anyone making any efforts, you know, because the efforts are kind of getting in my way of my space. Like, I need some space. I want to stay here by myself. You know, I want to be outside by myself. I want to vape out here by myself. I can't do that if the front door is open. I can't do that if somebody's like lurking around, you know. Um, that's kind of what it feels like, even though I know that's not what it is, but it feels like somebody's like lurking around, you know, just waiting to like see me in person so they can like tell me a comment or like, and not even mean stuff, just like nice stuff. But, you know, because I don't want to share about my day and talk about my day and talk about how I'm feeling and interact like that, because I don't want to, you know, it makes it really hard for me to be pleasant because it's like there's a part of me that's like, go away, like get away from me, like I don't want to be around anybody right now. um, but I think, that energy comes across as like not nice, and I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the person that, oh god, this person's home now and now I gotta deal with their like brooding energy, or oh god, this person's in that room now, so I can't go like hang out in that room because they're irritating. And or like they're gonna get irritated with me or whatever. Like, um, I don't want to be that person, but also like it's a pretty intense way to kind of feel like, having emotions just kind of like all over the place sometimes. And so, yeah, I don't really hate um, anybody, I'm not against them. It's just I I can feel it that I'm just like I want to just push people away. Um, it's not everybody. It's not my friends. It's not everybody. It's just certain people. I just want them to stay at a distance, and like in my mind, I'm just like, get the fuck away from me, like that's kind of where my head is. Just like, just go, just like leave me alone, like I can walk in the door by myself. Like I don't need somebody to open the door for me. I don't need somebody to wait by the door for me and like, or wait anywhere near the door and just talk to me right when I'm walking in the door, you know. Um, I've explained before when I leave and go on trips and go out of town how, I don't like people watching me at the door and like all this kind of stuff where it's just like, it's just smothering for me. It's just like, to me, it's a little smothering. It's like, but I know that, I mean, that's how good parents are, you know. But also, it's like, I really am a very independent person and I really like my space. Like, I'm the kind of person that, like, if I want to go hang out up in Hollywood, for example, with my friends, and if I just decide all of a sudden at a whim I just want to stay there for the next 2 nights, you know, I'll just go do random stuff. Like, I'm kind of just like, all right, I'll just come like hang out and like go do stuff. Um, I booked a trip to go to Vegas. Like, sometimes I just make kind of more sudden plans, and I don't really, you know, I don't really vibe with certain types of, you know, I don't know, like, it's hard for me to be in a house too with people who just like never leave. But yeah, I don't want to get way too much into that because I already talked about it a lot before, but it's kind of like that's the kind of stuff I'm working on. It sounds like it's not a big deal, but I can tell. Like, I can tell how I feel and how I could potentially be getting in someone else's way. And I've been around people that are like that, and I never understood, like, why the hell is this person, like, such a jerk, you know? But if it's similar to how I'm feeling, I kind of get it. It's not okay, but I get it. Um, and, I'm doing what I need to do to kind of, like, deal with it. Um, but it's kind of a lot of work to deal with. Like, I think, and this is my theory, I think it comes down to just not wanting to be too open and sharing of different stuff in my life that I just don't want to share. So I just prefer to keep people at a distance. Um, I don't want to share about my day. I don't want to share about what I just experienced, I don't want to share about it because, then they'll be like involved in what's going on in my mind. Like, I don't really need that. Um, I don't need other people's potentially prejudiced ideas and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't think that would happen, but I also don't want to explain myself to people. Um, I don't want to have to describe anything. Um, and, I'm trying to just like work on myself and work on things, um, and not get too like overly concerned with other people and what they need from me. That's never going to go away though. I mean, if you're in a social environment, there's always going to be people requesting stuff, or like people having needs that, you know, they would like you to meet. Um, like for me, it honestly is stressful that I'm in a house where I know somebody socially wants me to be like socially and emotionally available. And it's not all the time, but it's still like I don't want to be, you know. I think they still want of me more than what I want to give. Um, and I think too, um, that I've got a lot of traits that other family members have, because I know some other family members that are kind of in action, kind of the way that I kind of feel, if that makes sense. Like, I kind of notice certain family members that maybe don't ever want to live near people or interact with them or share anything about their life ever, or, you know, they just don't connect well with anybody. This kind of like deep sense of privacy and kind of like stay off to themselves and do their own thing. Um, and, maybe I've picked up some of that too, of like, we kind of know in this family you kind of just don't share about certain stuff. I mean, we talk about the things that are, there's a certain amount of safe topics, like the church, or, other types of things that we can discuss where it's like not really a big deal, but we all have that background in common. And then there's pretty much everything else, we just don't touch those topics. Um, so it's very different from how I've lived the last like maybe almost 10 years, to where I've developed relationships with people where we're very open with one another about all kinds of things on the same level, and there's a lot of understanding. Um, I don't really get that in my family. Um, that's more so with my friends, and that's fine with me. But I'm not really trying to like venture out or like try new things with my family and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm just not trying to do all that. Um, and so, yeah, you know, I'm trying to practice patience. Um, it's a bit of a struggle because my moods are all over the place. I think caffeine is not always the most helpful solution. Um, but sometimes I have it just because I'm trying to get my energy going for the day so I can like get stuff done. Um, but I do like cacao. I'm drinking mostly cacao right now. Um, it's cold, but I mean, it's still there. But when it comes into, this discussion about, uh, you know, foundations, um, I'm still kind of finding what works for me in this space. And it's just kind of weird because I've been in this physical space before. Um, and maybe that's throwing me off too because, um, I'm back in my childhood home, in my childhood bedroom, like, with the furniture arranged pretty much the same way it was arranged when I was in high school. Almost the same. I think the difference is my keyboard's at the foot of my bed versus I used to keep my keyboard near my bed, like up against the window, but I have a nightstand there now. Um, I am still, I mean, I went back on it, but I am still interested actually in changing up my bedroom, getting this kind of like a sofa bed kind of situation. I mean, just this room is too big to have furniture, bigger furniture, but I don't know. Um, my desk isn't the most comfortable place to sit at, and I'd rather have like a couch or chair that I could like sit at. Um, I don't know, um, but I don't know, like I feel really, um, uh, like I'm optimistic. Like I try not to be. I feel like I'm talking real heavy about stuff, but I am optimistic. But I can kind of see some things a little clearly, and I don't know if I really fully like what I see. Um, as far as like how my energy is affecting things. Um, I don't want it to negatively impact my relationships with my family or with other people in my life. But uh, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm actively working on it. I'm not just. I mean, on here, all I do is talk about it, but I'm doing a lot of other stuff too. But it's just it's gonna be slow going because it's kind of patterns I'm familiar with. I'm used to being around people who are interacting negatively in the way that I'm explaining. I'm used to being around that, so I think it's probably ingrained in me to some extent, and I've kind of picked it up and learned, how to have that energy, how to, avoid being pretty open with people, how to, do all that, and um, I don't know. I think it's hard to have like really surface level relationships with people that you live with when you don't fully like trust them. Um, it's something that I think a lot of maybe not so straight people get to deal with. That it's like there are these people that just like, geez, like they really just um, maybe don't understand almost anything. Like it's like we live in different worlds, like completely, you know. Um, and you know, like if I talk to my parents about like being misgendered, like they're not gonna understand what the hell. They're just gonna be like, well, why didn't you wear a dress? Problem solved. It's like that's not even what I'm trying to say, you know? Like, they just don't get it. Like, there's no way to even, like, have conversations with them about certain stuff, you know? Like, I'm not even saying that being misgendered, like, bothers me. It kind of, um, just depends on, like, the scenario. Because it doesn't have to be, like, it doesn't have to be, like, negative. It can be negative, but it doesn't have to be. Like, for me, it's just, like, matter of fact. But I've definitely noticed it happening a lot more lately, and I don't know why. Um, the only thing I can say is probably because I wear a lot of fitted caps now. Um, that's the only thing I can understand of like why. Um, I'm still not sure. I'm still curious to figure like why somebody would yeah, just the why behind things. But um yeah, I'm that's definitely what's on my mind, but um like I have a lot of things to strive towards. It's a big pivotal year. 2023 is like I already knew it was going to be. I wasn't really ready for a lot of stuff to start changing, but it has to. And as one thing kind of changes and another thing changes, and then I have to go do something like live where I'm living now just to get to the next stage of where I'm trying to get. And then that brings up a whole other set of challenges to have to deal with that I wouldn't have had to deal with if I was in San Diego. Like, say if I would have stayed with those wild people, I mean, I wouldn't have to be dealing with this kind of stuff that I'm dealing with now, but I would have had to be dealing with the stuff I would have been dealing with them. Like, that kind of scenario would have never changed. So I wouldn't have been really working on my health or anything like that, but I would have had my social circles around me and support systems around me um, that are available, that understand my life, that kind of get me. Versus here, I don't really have that support structure around me, but it's a comfortable housing environment, and for the most part, it's a comfortable housing environment, but I'm not necessarily fully comfortable in it. Um, if that makes sense. Um, like, I have my hesitations, and it's kind of really um, kind of affecting the way that I interact. Um, and that's just how it is. Like, that's how it is right now. Um, everything kind of takes its own time and a course. Like, I'm not gonna force anything, but all I'm doing lately is just practicing awareness of it, which is why I'm kind of like giving the whole background of all these stories of like how things happened and like what led to what. It's like I wasn't just like feeling mad out of the blue for no reason. Like, there was a sequence of events of Friday that led up to me um, feeling like just really irritated with somebody who honestly wasn't doing anything wrong. Um, and the best I could do was say one word in an effort to not ignore them. And I was just like, yeah, you know, and I wasn't even like polite with the tone that I said it. I was just kind of like agreeing, just kind of like, but I was showing like that I'm annoyed in the tone that I'm using, just kind of like, I'm annoyed, like, leave me alone. Like, you know, even though they didn't do anything to me, I was just annoyed by how they were acting, even though it wasn't intentional. It wasn't in any intention to get to me, but um, it's just I'm just overly like I just need to be by myself. Like, that's just how it is right now. And if people kind of force try to force me to kind of like interact with them a little bit here and there, even if they want me to just like say hi or whatever, and I'm not in the mood to do it, then I'm probably not going to be very polite because then it just opens more conversation. It opens more doors for like more discussion that I'm not trying to have or do. Like, um, but I don't know. Like, some of this stuff isn't really a big deal. Um, but I don't want to create a pattern where I'm just like the negative person in the house, you know? But I guess overall today, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to the beach. It was cold when I went out this morning, but that was like around 8:30. It's almost 10:30. Um, I'm going to the gym probably either gym or beach, but I don't know what time for either one. Probably after lunch when it's going to be super busy, but I kind of don't care. I just need to get out today. And I don't know what all I'm going to do. I'm basically recording and writing until lunchtime. Saturdays I don't do much, but today I'm kind of doing things. So I guess I'll get to see. Like I don't think I want to spend today, Saturday, as a rest day, like as in not doing anything productive. Because I had enough of those days already this week, and I'm kind of like wanting to do more. But yeah, I'm still at a place where it's kind of hard for me to do certain tasks, you know, that I set out to do. You know, I was playing some Magic the Gathering last night, had a good time. Finished the game from like 2 nights ago. I'll probably relax and play some video games, honestly. I don't really know what I'm going to do. But I don't really know. I gotta work on this online store too, but I don't really know how comfortable I feel working on things on like Saturdays. I'm a little bit particular. But yeah, but I don't know. I think I still went off topic, but that's kind of what I'm dealing with in the first place, and then just all the stuff from today's 3 pages, just kind of the things that come to my mind on what I'm trying to do better with. I had a whole like hour-long explanation earlier about all the other combined topics, supplements, substances, just kind of stuff that I'm trying to kind of help with balancing other stuff out here and there. I think I do have to go out today anyways because I have to go to the dispensary. But I gotta figure out which one. I'm looking for some CBD products and it's strangely really hard to find. Like a lot of our dispensaries don't have like CBD products. They have like a lot of THC products. And then I think they have tinctures of CBD, but I don't really know how effective those are. Like sometimes I feel like they're like hit or miss. But I might go see if I can maybe grab a tincture or something. I don't know what. I polished off 100 milligrams of hybrid edibles that were indica dominant live resin and 100 milligrams of indica that the 100 milligrams was also combined with CBN and CBD, but so I don't really know what combination. It was like um, CBN. I don't know how much it was. So I'll put it this way, per gummy, it was 5 milligrams indica, 5 milligrams 5 milligrams indica, 5 milligrams CBN, 5 milligrams CBD. So maybe it was not 100. Yeah, maybe it wasn't 100 milligrams. Maybe it was a different dose amount. I'd have to check, but yeah, but all right, the family's up. It's 10:25 a.m. Time to move on to something else. Um, Thanks for listening. Check out the other episode for today too. It's kind of more of a brain dump episode.